Hello everyone, my name is Adrienne and I'm going to teach you how to make a single crochet stitch. So first things first, this is the yarn that I have decided to use to teach. It's a little bit easier to see and to use than just regular worsted yarn, so it's very nice for beginners. It is also a little bit thicker, so we can use a larger hook. As far as what hook you want to use with your yarn, it really depends on yarn to yarn, but each ball of yarn comes with a little label here like this, and it tells you what kind of knitting needles you would want to use as well as what kind of crochet hook you would want to use. So with this being bulky yarn, it says that we want to use a 9mm hook. You can use smaller ones if you want tighter loops, but for purposes of teaching, we do want to have a little bit of looser loops, so we will go ahead and use a 9mm hook. So I have my 9mm hook here. So the first thing that we need to do with our yarn is we need to make a slip stitch. So the way that we do that is we place the yarn in our hand like this. We just twist it around and we grab the piece of yarn that's attached to the ball. We don't grab the piece of yarn that is the short end here. We want to grab the piece of yarn that's attached to the ball of yarn. And the reason for that is we want to be able to pull on this long piece and be able to make the loop smaller. So again, we will just place the yarn like so. We will twist it, grab the long piece of yarn, and then pull. So there we have our first little slip stitch. Place our crochet hook inside of that and then pull it. We don't have to pull it super tight or snug. We just have to pull it so it's inside the loop. So what we're going to learn here is called a chain stitch, and this is how you would start any blanket or pot holder or anything that would have a straight edge. So we have our hook in our slip stitch loop here. We're going to do what's called a yarn over, which means you put the yarn over, and then we're going to pull that yarn through the loop. So now we have one chain. We're going to do that again. We're going to go yarn over, and then pulling that piece of yarn through the loop. We're going to yarn over again, pulling that piece of yarn through. So if you're reading a pattern, this would be called yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. So we're going to do that 15 times. So we have 15 stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So now we have 15 chains. 15 chain stitches there. So in this project, we do want to have 15 stitches per row. So this is our 15. Now we need to add our second row. So how we do that is we have to make one more chain stitch. So this is not part of our 15. So basically this is a 16th chain stitch. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn this kind of upside down. You can see on the top part, there is a braid. It kind of looks like a braid here. On the upside down part, on the bottom part, you can see there's a stitch kind of in the middle. And we want to stitch through that stitch. You can stitch through one of the stitches on the braid, but it looks a little bit better at the end if you stitch through this back stitch. So we do not want to stitch through the loop we just did. So that's this guy. We're going to skip that one and we're going to go on to this next loop. So we're going to go ahead and just place our crochet hook through that loop, and they can be a little bit tight, and if you are making your first chain you can make it a lot looser, and that makes the second row a little bit easier to do. But you're going to put it through that back loop, yarn over, pull that through, just the one loop. Now you have two loops on your crochet hook, so we're going to yarn over again, and we're going to pull it through both of those loops, and that is a single crochet stitch. So we're going to keep going down the line here. We're going to go through the next back loop, and you can use your fingers to kind of help it guide it through that little loop there. So we're through the loop, going yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over again and pulling through the two loops. Now we're going to go to the next one, We're going to go through, we're going to go yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through two. So these are now the single crochet stitches that we're learning. So we're just going to go all the way down here in that middle back loop. We're just going to do that same thing over and over until we have 15. So through, over, pull through, over, pull through. I'm going to go through the back loop, yarn over, pull through the back loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. I'm going to go back through the back loop, yarn over, pull through the back loop, yarn over, pull through. And we just keep doing that. And as we get closer to the edge, things get a little bit tighter. So you have to work a little bit harder to get it through that back loop, but don't worry, you'll get there. And the reason we go through this back loop is because if you go through one of the front loops, it just doesn't look as pretty, I guess, when your project is done. It looks a little bit more tight, and this just makes it look a little bit more nicely done. So we're still going through that middle back loop. Got just a few more left. We're still just going through the back loop, just like that, just the one loop, then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through again. All right, I have one more here, through that back loop. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, and pull through two. So now we have the first chain row and then the second single crochet row. So the next thing we have to do is start to try to make our third row, and the way that we do that is we make one chain. So we're over here, we just go over and then pull through, just like we did on that first chain row. We just go over and pull through, so that's giving us one chain, and that helps us to start with the next row. So what we do there is chain one, and we turn our work, so you turn it around. So it was like this, and then we turn it around because we want to go right to left. We always want to work right to left. And then the knot down here is from your first row. So that's how you can know where we're starting here. So this is the chain stitch that we just did. You don't want to do a crochet through that stitch. That stitch should just be left alone. If you crochet through that stitch, your counting will be off. So you want to skip that stitch and then go into this next one. So we're just going to go through that stitch, and you're actually going to go through two loops this time. So if you're looking at it from the top of your work, you see this kind of braid here. Now this time we want to go through both loops of that braid. So we're going through those top loops, yarning over, through, yarn over, and then pull through those both loops. And we're going to do that again. We're going to go through this little hole, and then we're going to go yarn over, pull through, then yarn over and pull through. And then we're going to start working on this next row, and this is where we're going to start with our class. We're going to start on the third row, but if you ever do want to know how to begin the first chain row and then the second row, this is how you do it. So please take a look at my next video to continue with that third row.